The Last Bell. Asterisk Chapter 1. The Discovery. The master key turned with a soft, protesting click in the pre-dawn gloom. Frank, the night janitor at Westbridge High, shouldered open the door to room 214, the smell of lemon-scented polish trailing him. His routine was a religion of mop buckets and recycling bins, a quiet dominion over empty halls. This morning, the silence felt different. It was a thick, swallowing quiet that seemed to originate from the center of the room. His flashlight beam swept across rows of desks, glinting off a forgotten calculator before it froze. A shape lay between the last row and the wall, crumpled and unnaturally still. Frank's breath hitched. He fumbled for the light switch. Harsh fluorescent light flooded the biology classroom, illuminating posters of the human skeletal system and a wilting fern. It also illuminated Ryan Hale. The boy was on his side, one arm tucked beneath him, his face pale and waxy against the scuffed linoleum. His eyes were open, staring vacantly at the legs of a desk chair. A star student, the quarterback, the kid with the easy smile from the yearbook photos Frank occasionally dusted, motionless. Frank's knees felt weak. He stumbled backward into the hallway, the squeak of his rubber soles obscenely loud. His hands, trembling, dialed 911. His voice was a hoarse croak giving the address, the room number. He did not re-enter. He stood sentinel in the corridor, watching that open doorway as if something might emerge from it, the weight of the silence now a physical pressure. The police arrived with a symphony of sirens that shattered the morning calm. Soon, the parking lot was a pulsating sea of red and blue. Officers in crisp uniforms cordoned off the hallway with grim efficiency, their radios crackling with terse codes. The mundane classroom transformed. Yellow tape became a garish border. Detectives in plain clothes moved with deliberate slowness, photographing the scene from every angle, their cameras flashing like silent lightning. A forensic technician knelt beside the body, a figure of serene focus amidst the gathering storm. By the time the first teachers' cars began to pull in, rumors were already coiling through the chilled morning air like smoke. Huddled clusters formed in the staff parking lot, faces drawn with shock and macabre curiosity. Whispers of an accident, a terrible medical episode, were quickly supplanted by darker, more thrilling theories. Students arriving on early buses pressed their faces against the windows, their breath fogging the glass as they tried to decipher the meaning of the police cruisers and the somber-faced adults turning them away. The disbelief was a palpable entity, a shared vertigo. Westbridge High, a place of pep rallies and pop quizzes, had become a crime scene, and the day had not yet properly begun. Asterisk Chapter 2. The Questions. The interviews were conducted in the sterile quiet of the administrative conference room, the scent of stale coffee and industrial cleaner replacing the usual hallway smells of sweat and pencil shavings. Detectives Warren and Cho worked in a rhythm of calm inquiry and observant silence. Mia Chen arrived first, a slight figure nearly swallowed by her oversized sweater. Her fingers twisted a fraying thread from its cuff as she spoke in a voice just above a whisper. She confirmed being in the library until it closed at 10, a fact the librarian had already verified. Her alibi was solid, yet her eyes remained fixed on the grain of the tabletop, avoiding all contact. When asked about her relationship with Ryan, a faint blush crept up her neck. She admitted, after a long pause, to deleting a string of text messages from her phone the previous night. They were, she murmured, just silly notes she drafted but never sent, filled with admiration she was too shy to voice. The phone itself, she claimed, was now missing, lost sometime after she'd walked home in the dark. Leo Torres entered with a different energy, a simmering defiance that couldn't mask the red-rimmed exhaustion in his eyes. Once Ryan's inseparable best friend and robotics club partner, he now sat with crossed arms, his answers clipped. His alibi was a late shift at the cinema, corroborated by time-stamped footage of him tearing tickets. But the tension in the room spiked when the detectives mentioned the public argument witnessed in the cafeteria 2 days prior, a heated exchange about betrayal, and a dissolved partnership that had ended with Leo shoving a chair so hard it screeched across the floor. Leo's jaw tightened. He called it ancient history, business disagreements, but the bitterness in his tone was fresh and potent. Mr. Evans, the advanced placement biology teacher, was the picture of weary concern, his corduroy jacket smelling of chalk dust. He had been in his own classroom grading until nearly midnight, a stack of essays and the security log at the front, until the conversation turned to the integrity of his upcoming midterm. A faint tremor touched his hand as he adjusted his glasses. He confessed, with clear reluctance, to discovering a copy of his answer key was missing from a locked drawer in his desk. A drawer only a handful of honor students, including Ryan, knew how to access. His concern was professional, he insisted, but a sheen of sweat glistened at his temples. As the interviews concluded, the detectives compared notes. 3 alibis, each technically sound. 3 hidden tensions, each a thread pulling taut. The physical evidence list grew. 1 missing cell phone, 1 stolen answer key, and 1 critical 7-minute gap in the hallway camera footage outside room 214. A digital void in the timeline where only shadows could have moved. Chapter 3. The Truth. The digital void was the crack through which the truth eventually bled. The 7-minute gap in the hallway footage was not a system glitch, but a surgical deletion, a skill Leo Torres had honed in the robotics lab. Under the mounting pressure of forensic scrutiny, the recovery of Mia's phone from a storm drain near Leo's house, its memory partially scrubbed but not fully erased, the carefully constructed alibis began to crumble. The stolen answer key was merely a symptom, the tip of an iceberg of academic corruption. Ryan Hale, in his relentless pursuit of perfection, had stumbled upon the core of it, a sophisticated cheating ring. Leo, desperate to secure a scholarship his slipping grades could no longer guarantee, had partnered with Mr. Evans, a teacher drowning in debt and terrified of losing his tenure. Together, they were selling advanced exam answers to a select, paying clientele of panicked students. Ryan discovered the operation not through malice, but by accident, tracing a suspicious payment on a shared club account. He confronted Leo first, a final attempt to salvage their fractured friendship with a plea for honesty. Instead, he received a threat veiled as a warning. Fear, cold and immediate, took root. Exposure meant not just scandal, but the utter annihilation of futures. Leo's college dreams, Mr. Evans's career, the aspirations of every student who had bought their way to a better grade. So they lured him. A text, purportedly from a remorseful Leo, asked for a private meeting in room 214 to talk, to make things right. Ryan went, driven by a lingering hope for reconciliation. The confrontation was not violent in intent, but catastrophic in its escalation. Words turned to pushes in the locked, empty classroom. A shove, a loss of balance, the sickening crack of a skull meeting the unforgiving edge of a teacher's desk. Then the terrible, still silence. The 7-minute gap was their window of horror. Leo sprinting to the security office he had mapped for weeks, Mr. Evans standing guard in the shadowed hall, both performing the frantic digital erasure they had only theorized. They left Ryan there, arranging the scene to suggest a tragic, solitary accident, their motives not born of hatred, but of a sheer, paralyzing terror of the consequences. Confronted with the recovered data and the timeline that now fit together with dreadful precision, Leo shattered. In the same sterile conference room, his defiance dissolved into heaving sobs. He spoke not of anger, but of a choking fear of failure, of disappointing parents, of a future slipping away. Mr. Evans, upon his arrest, simply stared at his hands, his resignation a quiet, profound emptiness. The town reeled. The monster they had imagined, some external predator or deep-seated vendetta, was replaced by a far more unsettling truth: the banality of fear. It was a mundane, almost pathetic engine for tragedy. Westbridge High reopened the following Monday. The yellow tape was gone, the lock on room 214 replaced. Students filed back into the halls, but the laughter was subdued, the glances toward that door fleeting and heavy. When the final bell rang, its shrill electronic peal echoed through the repopulated corridors, carrying a new, indelible weight. The weight of the secret now known, and the haunting, unanswerable question of how well anyone can ever truly know the person at the locker next to them, or the friend they thought they loved, or the shadows in their own heart.